Hi guys, thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to share with you exactly all of the equipment, talents and items that I use during my Scarlet Monastery pulls. A sort of how-to guide if you will. So this is my first voiceover and I'd firstly like to say hello and thanks for watching the video. If you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up and of course don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I release new videos. So today what I wanted to do was go over the things that are essential for this type of pulling, some theory behind it and some possible alterations or helpful items that I've not shown before. Firstly, let's take a look at my current gear. Okay, so this is currently during phase 1 of Classic, but it's after the release of amor. And I've been doing this since the 3rd week of release, which was when I hit level 60. So of course, please be aware you can do this right off the bat, no fancy epic gear required. Now right onto the first item, and you can see that I've got my Tier 2 helmet. It's fantastic for the stats and the spell power on it is actually amazing. This is definitely biz for this aspect of the game. And you can get this of course from Onyxia. Moving on to the neck now, and you can see that I'm using the Gem Shard Heart. Now yeah, slightly embarrassing I know, but it is what it is. I've been unlucky in this department and I'm looking to upgrade soon. Next up is the shoulders. For this slot I'm using Tier 1 Lawbringer shoulders, which of course are from Molten Core. These are great for stats as they provide the armour, stamina and intellect, but unfortunately no spell power. But you do have the plus healing bonus, which is handy. Now onto my cloak. It's the Sprite Caster Cape, and this is a real good one. It's got 14 spell damage and healing, which is perfect. The stats aren't the best, but for phase 1 we don't have much to work with here. So if you're looking to get this item, you can find it from the Interrogator boss from Blackrock Depths. Onto the chest now, and this is super important. It's the Demon Forged breastplate. This is a crafted item and it's quite rare to find, in terms of there aren't really many people that actually can make this yet. As far as I'm aware, on my server there's only 1 or 2 people that can actually make it. Now in terms of the stats, it's not the best with just 12 stamina on it, but it's the proc we're looking for. So when struck in combat, you have a 3% chance to steal 120 life from the attacker. What this means is when it procs over a 4-second period, a total of 120 HP will be taken from them and given to you. Now 120 might not seem like a lot, but it does go off multiple times, and taking into account we have many mobs on us during SM, it goes off quite often, helping keep you alive, which is very handy. On top of this, yes, I can confirm that it does scale with spell power. So right now during phase 1, it's not going to be amazing, but come phase 3 with Blackwing Layer and the introduction of Tier 2, or even earlier with the PvP in phase 2, we can expect to gain a bunch more spell power, resulting in bigger life stealing from the chest. As for the enchant, I was torn between health, mana and stats here, but in the end I picked the stats as I knew that it gave more intellect, which helps towards more crit with spells. Moving on to the wrist now, and these are from my healing set, but they're the best I have at the moment. It's the Gallant's wrist guards, which are from amor, obtained from killing one of the ogre guards in the West Wing. Now, it doesn't matter which one you kill as they all share the same loot apparently. Now, there are another pair that's probably better than this, that are male with spell damage on them, but I haven't had a chance to get them yet, and besides, the plate armour and the healing is nice anyway. Going to my gloves now, and I use 2 different pairs here. First is the Dracorian gauntlets, which are male yes, but plus 16 damage and healing done. With that you can't really complain. The stats on them aren't bad either, with 11 intellect, 10 stamina and 9 spirit. The only thing that lets it down is the armour, with it being male and not plate. And if you want in these, you can find them from Baron Rivendare in Stratholme. Now, the other pair that I use are the Razor Gauntlets, which deal 3 damage to each person that attacks you with a melee attack. And of course, these are found in amor as well, from Alzin the Wild Shaper. Now, these gloves, much like the chest, give poor stats with less than 400 armour and only 8 strength on them. They're not that great in terms of stats, which is why I'm debating using them. Now, perhaps later down the line with phase 3 I can mix it in with some better gear, but only time will tell on that front. Moving on to my belt now, and you can see that I've got the Belt of the Ordained, which is unfortunately only a plus healing item, but it is good for the stats and the healing bonus is great. Now, as for where you get this from, I'm not entirely sure where's best, because as far as I know, they're a random world drop with a very low chance of finding them. Personally, I bought mine off a Guildie on the second week of release. Now for my legs, I'm currently using the Tier 1 set, which, as you know, are from Molten Core. And just like the shoulders, they provide a great stat increase compared to any blues you might find. The high armour and stamina are really good for this, as well as providing some MP5 and extra healing. You can't really go wrong. For the enchant, I've personally held off on this as I know that soon I'll be upgrading to Tier 2. Boots next, and again it's the Tier 1 set, and with more healing and same high stamina and good intellect, as well as more MP5 and plus healing. Now as for the enchant, this is a very important one. I've gone for the speed boost as it's very handy for pulling, because it simply helps you stay ahead of the mobs, reducing your overall damage you take when you're rounding them all up. And as always with all Tier 1 gear, you can find it in Molten Core. Moving further down the list now and onto my rings, you can see that I've gone with the Songstone of Ironforge, which is a quest reward involving a Blackrock Depths run. This is a nice ring as it gives intellect and spirit, plus the spell damage is really good. Now my second ring is an important one and it's a must have as well, or at least during phase 1 it's a must have. It's the Nagel ring. Now this ring provides plus 50 armour, which is nice. It also gives 10 stamina, which is fantastic, as well as the plus 5 in defense rating. It will definitely help with your overall survivability. But the main key thing to take away from this, just like the gloves, is the free arcane damage to attackers that it does. And yes, to answer your question, as you can see, it does indeed stack, and not just with the gloves, but with everything. That's the shield, the retribution aura, the gloves, and the consecration. All of these items combining together to make a super ace damage tank. For the trinkets, I've gotten the Paladin book reward from Diamol. You can easily buy these from the auction house. The Paladin specific one being the light in how to swing it. It provides 10 fire resistance, which is handy for Molten Core, 150 armor, which is amazing, and the plus 22 healing is also a great addition, making this a very good trinket indeed. For the final one, I've gotten the Briarwood Reed, which provides 29 damage and healing, and it can be found from a rare spawn in Upper Blackrock Spire, known as Jed Runewatcher. Now that one's a bit of a pain to get because he is a rare spawn and you're going to have to spend ages looking for him, and of course the amount of people that actually want this trinket, it's pretty slim chances of you actually getting it. But if you want to farm it, go ahead, because it's definitely a very good trinket. Now with the sword, it's a hit and miss. I won't lie and tell you that it's this or that. I just wanted it because it looks good. But on a more serious note, the 12 stamina and the chance on hit to proc to give you 300 armor as well as 13 defense is really handy, especially when you've got some male gear still and you're not fully epic yet. Now those things alone make it worth it for the overall survivability. Now personally, a faster weapon would be better, but like I say, at the minute still using some male items and not fully in epic gear yet, so it comes in handy. Now you can get this item from a book that's also from Diamol called Fora's Compendium of Dragon Slaying, which begins a quest sending you to eventually kill Onyxia. But like I say, at this moment I need the stats and it looks cool. Last but not least is the infamous Skull Flame Shield. This is a super rare world drop from any mobs above level 50, I believe. So in terms of stats, the fire resistance is kind of handy. It's got quite high armor, but those are the least of our concerns. Now, what makes this shield the best shield in the world is both of its proc abilities. The first being a 3% chance to steal 35 HP from a target is in itself great. This small proc happens quite often, as you can imagine, with so many mobs attacking you at once, and it helps to keep you alive. As for whether or not it scales with spell power though, just like the chest, unfortunately I can't answer that question. But the second proc, being a 1% chance to deal 75 to 125 fire damage to all targets, is insane. And just like all the other procs, it goes off multiple times, sometimes up to 3 times each pull, and it does actually crit as well. Now as for the spike that I've got on it, after looking at the DPS meter, apparently it's the least offensive ability in the reflect gear, which begs the question, at only 2% of total damage or so, is it worth having versus say a stamina enchant? And again, another question that unfortunately I can't answer as I've not tested it. Okay, moving on to talents now, and the reason why I'm holy instead of protection is for a few reasons. Now, despite popular belief being protection is needed for this, holy, in my opinion, is probably the best. This is because you've got more mana from increased intellect, which also gives you a higher critical chance. You've got better heals. You've also got Holy Shock, which is like carrying an extra health potion, and overall it just makes survivability a lot better. So these are the talents that I've picked. I've gone for 5 out of 5 in Benediction, 2 out of 2 in Improved Judgment. In the protection tree, I've gone 5 out of 5 in Redoubt, 3 out of 3 in Shield Specialization, 3 out of 3 Precision, because obviously the hit chance is very important, and I've gone 2 out of 5 in Toughness because I had a final 2 points left remaining. And of course the extra armor value is also nice. Now in the Holy Tree, this is where I've got 31 points, 5 of them being in Divine Intellect. Again, 10% more intellect, giving higher spell critical chance and a higher mana pool. Then I've gone 5 out of 5 improved Seal of Righteousness. Next we've got 3 and 3 for Healing Light. Obviously we've got Consecration, that's where most of our damage comes from. 1 out of 2 in improved Lay of Hands. This was simply to gain enough points to go down to the next level. 2 out of 2 in improved Blessing of Wisdom. Next I've gone for 2 out of 3 in Lasting Light. 5 out of 5 Holy Power, 5 out of 5 in Illumination, 1 out of 1 in Divine Favour, because having that 100% crit chance is essentially giving yourself a free heal, which is nice. And finally, probably one of the best abilities in the game, Holy Shock. Well, for a Paladin at least. See, you can choose protection if you really want, but I honestly don't think that Holy Shield or Blessing of Sanctuary are worth losing the high heals, better crit chance, and bigger mana pool as well as Holy Shock for. The trade-off just doesn't seem that good to me. But hey, each to their own, and you can do whatever you like. This is just how I prefer to do things. Some items that are really useful, you'll get loads of these drops during your runs, but as standard, health and mana pots are very useful for emergency situations. I use them often if I make a mistake, and you don't need to buy or farm the level 45 potions either. Just the mid-level ones that drop here are plenty. And if you're in a group and want to try to pull more mobs, for sure a swiftness potion can be a huge help. They're super cheap to make and they allow you to pull more mobs by taking less damage from the ones that are all the way behind you. Also, scrolls drop here often too, things like armor scrolls, stamina scrolls, strength and agility scrolls. They all drop from here and you can use them all and they all stack together, which is nice in giving your character that little extra boost. Now next are flasks and other potions. Now, to be honest, I personally wouldn't get the flasks at this moment because, yeah, despite them staying on you even if you do die, they're stupidly expensive right now. Even doing this for 2 hours, you can't make enough money to cover the costs of them. With some flasks being 80 gold per one, you really cannot justify that price at the moment. Finally, food buffs. As you may have seen in some of my other clips, I had the free spirit and stamina apples that are from various inns across the world because of the Halloween event, which is nice. And keep in mind, all of these buffs that I've mentioned above all work together. So you can have multiple scrolls as well as multiple player buffs and a food buff too, which combining them all together makes your character that much more stronger, making it more easy to do. Okay, so aside from potions and buffs, there are a couple of items that are super handy as well. Some I have, some I don't. So if you're just starting out and you're not geared up from dungeons or raids yet, then there's 2 really good items that you can get. They're also easy to obtain at level 60 as you can solo this. And they're from, you'll never guess where. Yep, you guessed it. Gnomeregon. More specifically, it's the last boss. As you can see from this boss, he drops a nice helmet and a shield. So the helmet is called the Electromagnetic Gigaflux Reactivator. Now it might be a level 32 cloth helmet, but look at the use on it. It does crazy damage to all mobs and the buff on it is amazing as well. Now, as you can see the damage it does when you use it, in the combat logs you can see that it does work with everything else. And then as soon as you get the buff on you from using it, you see all of those little 5s floating around. That's from the buffs, so to confirm, yes, it does stack with everything else. Now, if you can't afford the Skull Flame shield, then this shield is also a good, cheaper alternative. It's called Thermoplug's Central Core. Now, the stats aren't great with less than 800 armor and only 3 spirit, but it's the proc that we want. It's the same as the PvP epic one, which isn't out yet until phase 2, giving you a chance to deal 35 to 65 nature damage to the attacker. Again, not the best in the world, but for saying you can easily farm it on your own, it makes a decent alternative if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of gold at the minute. Now finally, there are 2 trinkets that are both from Strat. One drops from Ramstein the Gorger, called Ramstein's Lightning Bolt, and it does 200 damage to all mobs around you, which is absolutely crazy. Now the second one is the quest reward, similar to the other one, except it does slightly less damage. It's the Smoke is Lighter, which deals 125 fire damage to all of the mobs that are in front of you. Now, combining all of this together, it isn't necessarily essential. It's just different items, different options to help you do this. Because as for the most part, you'll have at least one AoE DPS like a mage or a warlock, and you'll probably have a healer helping keep you alive as well. But obviously, when the time comes in phase 3, you'll probably be going solo more often as you'll have better gear. So things like those trinkets as well as the helmet could come in handy further down the road. But right now I'm actually enjoying taking people with me for the simple reason it's often good company, you have some laughs, they get some fantastic experience, and of course you're making more gold faster. But that's it for now guys. The next video is going to be a guide on making gold in Scarlet Monastery. It's going to be broken down into simple, easy steps and have lots of good information in it to help you guys. So until the next time, see ya.